Zaldrizes Buzdaris Gosdaor, Dracarys.
Dracarys. With a single word, the mother of dragons unleashed hell. Most people watched that scene in Astapor and saw the moment Daenerys Targaryen became unstoppable. She'd handed a slaver her largest dragon, taken his army of 8,000, and then turned the dragon on him with a single word. The mother of dragons, finally showing the world what happened when she harnessed the power of dragonfire. Drogon was a weapon she'd learned to aim, a nuclear warhead on a leash. She was a queen whose dragon flew where she pointed, burned what she named, killed who she chose. Some watched the whole series and saw loyalty. Some saw a tool, an obedient living weapon. But none of those are the correct reading. She never controlled him. Not at Astapor, not at King's Landing, not ever. Listen to the line again, the one everyone treats as a kiss-off to a dead slaver. A dragon is not a slave. She wasn't just talking to Krasnis. She was actually stating the single rule that governs every scene Drogon is ever in. We know this because the man who created Daenerys and Drogon put that same rule in writing. Dragons can be trained, but never truly tamed. But George R.R. Martin said something else, which flips everything you thought you knew about Daenerys and Drogon on its head. Let me take you through it from the start. Because once you see Drogon's true nature, you will see what he does in that throne room at the very end in a completely different light. In the summer of 2024, George R.R. Martin sat down and wrote out plainly how his dragons work. They are not animals you break to the saddle, he said. Like wolves and bears and lions, they can be trained, but never entirely tamed. They have personalities. Some are wilder than others. And, this is the part that turns the key, they often reflect the personalities of their riders. This reflection is what makes the bond possible in the first place. A dragon doesn't lower their neck for just anybody. It is looking for a rider worthy of sacred bond. This bond is profound. It goes much deeper than a master and servant. A dragon and a rider can sense each other, feel each other's pain, even know when the other is in danger. And while Daenerys shared a connection with Rhaegal and Viserion, her deepest bond was with Drogon, which means he was her truest reflection. That means every moment you read as obedience was something else entirely. You were watching a mirror. Take in this difference, because it's the whole video. A weapon obeys, and tool does what it's told and means nothing by it. A mirror does something simpler and stranger. It shows you what's standing in front of it. If Martin's dragons reflect their riders, then Drogon was never Daenerys' instrument, but instead a live readout of what was inside her at every moment of her life. And look at where he comes from. Drogon is born in a fire, the funeral pyre of Khal Drogo, the husband she's just lost. He takes Drogo's name. He climbs out of the ashes of the man who first taught her she could be powerful, and he settles on her shoulder. From his first breath, Drogon is not a pet she acquired. He is the same things she's made of, fire and blood, grief and will, and he is handed wings. He is the largest of the three, the one she loves most, and, as we'll see, the one she can control the least. So here is the lens for everything that follows. Every time you think you're watching Daenerys command her dragon, ask the better question. What is the dragon showing you about her? The answer is right there in every scene. Most people just never thought to look. Let's go to Meereen. Season 4, the finale, the children. A shepherd walks into Daenerys' hall and empties a sack onto the floor. Charred bones, all that's left of his little girl. Drogon did this. Drogon, who has flown off over the cliffs and won't come when she calls, so Daenerys does the only thing she can. She leads her other two dragons, Rhaegal and Viserion, down into the catacombs, and she chains them in the dark. She's weeping as she does it. Here's the part people often forget. Watch which dragons she's able to chain. Rhaegal and Viserion, the two who follow her down, who let her collar them, who trust her enough to follow her into the dark. They are the biddable ones. The one she cannot chain, cannot even find, is Drogon, the wildest of the three, and the one who, 4 seasons later, is the only one still alive. She didn't lose control of her dragons that day, but instead showed us she never fully had it. The two she could cage were never the real danger. The one she couldn't control was the one most like her, the parts of herself she couldn't chain, not in a dragon and not in yourself. Martin says it flatly in the books too. No man could truly tame a wolf. Daenerys was about to spend years learning that no woman could tame the mount she rode either. Now hold that image from Season 4, Drogon gone, beyond her reach, and watch what happens the next time she sees him. Season 5, The Dance of Dragons, Daznak's Pit. The Sons of the Harpy have surrounded her, blades drawn. There is no army coming to save her. This is where Daenerys is about to die. And then the sky tears open, and Drogon drops into the arena, screaming fire. The easy reading is that her dragon came when she called, but she didn't call him. She couldn't. He'd abandoned her, and ignored her for the better part of a season. No whistle brings a wild dragon back across a city. What brings him is something much deeper than a command. In the moment her life is ending, the bond pulls him to her like gravity, and when she climbs onto his back, and they rise out of that pit together, the first time she ever truly flies him, it isn't because she finally tamed him. It's because, for one moment, what she wanted and what he was became the same thing. She wanted to live, and he was the reflection of her will to survive. That isn't a rider commanding a mount, but a woman and her own mirror, perfectly aligned. And this is the moment people miss, because it doesn't happen on screen, it happens in her own head. In the books, alone in Meereen, watching what her dragons have done, Daenerys confronts the frightening truth. She calls herself the mother of dragons, and then, quieter, the mother of monsters. She asks what she's unleashed on the world, and then she lands on the line that should end every argument about whether she understood her own power. If they are monsters, so am I. She knew long before the rest of us. Daenerys understood the dragons were a part of her, and she didn't see a beast she ruled. No, she saw herself, in a different skin. So what Drogon was to her was never a secret being kept from her. It was something she already feared. Which brings us to the scene that looks like it breaks everything I've just told you. It's Season 8, and King's Landing has surrendered. The bells are ringing, and Daenerys, on Drogon's back, burns the city and every soul in it to ash anyway. Here, surely, is control. The most deliberate, most total command of a weapon in the entire series. She chose this. The show is emphatic that she chose this. Yes, she did, and that is the sign of the mirror bond at its most complete. Not a sign of this being an exception, as many fans argue. And then here's the part that makes it really chilling. Go back through everything Drogon's fire ever did, and notice it always matched her heart exactly.
I, Daenerys of House Targaryen, sentence you to die.
When Daenerys' heart was full of liberation, his fire broke the chains of slavers and freed cities. When her heart was mercy, he was the instrument of mercy. And when, in that saddle over King's Landing, grieving, betrayed, alone, finally past the point of return, her heart turned to fire and grievance, and the need to make them all pay. The dragon became that, too. The flame was only ever as merciful as the woman directing it. King's Landing wasn't Daenerys aiming a weapon at a city. It was Drogon showing the world, in the most destructive way imaginable, that the darkness had finally won inside her, and the dragon was doing what he always did by reflecting her. And then finally, when Daenerys dies in the throne room after Jon Snow puts a knife in her, and Daenerys is gone, Drogon lands. He finds her body, and noses at it, the way you nudge someone you expect to wake. But for the first time in his life, Drogon has no rider, no will to reflect. So watch what happens in that moment. Drogon makes 3 choices, and not one of them is the choice a weapon would make. He does not kill Jon. The man who just murdered his mother is standing right there, defenseless, and Drogon, who has every reason to rage, will not burn him. There's no will left to point him at Jon, and on his own, the dragon has no appetite for revenge. Instead, he turns to the Iron Throne and melts it. The thing his mother wanted, the thing that consumed her whole life, the thing she crossed the world and lost herself to reach. With no one left to command him, the dragon's first act is to destroy the exact object of her deepest desire, the thing that consumed her. This is how he avenges her. And then, he gathers her body up in his claws, and he flies east, home, back toward where her journey began. People have argued for years about where Drogon was taking her, and why. But under Martin's rule, the answer is incredibly simple. The dragon reflected Daenerys Targaryen her entire life, and when she died, there was nothing left to reflect. So, he ignored her killer, destroyed her obsession, and carried her back east. These are the acts of a mirror, asserting its will after the glass had gone dark. So go back and watch it again, all of it. The dragon she handed a slaver and took back with a word. the two she chained and the one she couldn't, the fire that freed the slaves and the fire that destroyed King's Landing. It was always a woman and the mirror of her own soul, fire answering fire, showing her and us exactly what she was at every step, right up to the moment she had nothing left to show but ruin. "A dragon is not a slave," she said. The very first time we watched her use that power, she was telling the truth about the most important relationship of her life, and we mistook it for a threat. Now that you've seen it, you will not watch a single Dracarys the same way again. So tell me what you think. Which moment convinced you Drogon was never the weapon? And if you want more of these threads, the show buried under the surface, make sure to subscribe. There are many in every season, and most of them have never been explored properly.